Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Spiritus Mirror by M.L. Bullock. Narrated by Emily Lawrence. Chapter 1. Lucia. Lucia stood in the attic of her family farmhouse, her feet planted firmly on the floor. She felt small and insignificant, standing alone in the middle of the dusty space. But she was determined to master the act she had been practicing. Her mother had arranged a small stage for Lucia, with lights and a dark blue sheet with golden stars sprinkled on it, hanging behind her to provide the perfect backdrop. Across from the stage was a large, ornate mirror, carefully placed there by her mother. It was supposed to help her perfect her show, but Lucia didn't like the strange mirror. Its surface was so reflective that it made Lucia feel exposed, as if she was being watched. But by whom? The only person watching her was the dark-haired child with strange, dark eyes, Lucia herself. She took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage with a practiced smile. Her upcoming performance would be her time to shine, her time to show her family how great she was as a magician. Lucia liked performing for her family, and not just performing magic tricks. She also liked to sing and dance. Lucia was going to be a movie star one day. The girl raised her hand and moved her fingers to the beat of the music, like a conductor leading an orchestra. Her movements were precise. Her feet moved to the rhythm of the music. She felt the energy of the music pulsing through her veins, and as she closed her eyes, she felt a sudden rush of joy. She was free and alive, the music guiding her every movement. Lucia then confidently tapped the hat with her wand and tugged the fabric off of the top. She felt a rush of adrenaline as she continued to wave her fingers to the beat of the music. Lucia touched the button on the stand covertly. As her father explained, it was important to keep the secret. All magicians have secrets, but the button did not give her the result she desired. Her smile vanished as she pressed the button again and waited for the stuffed rabbit to pop out. Yes, it worked. The audience would gasp in amazement when Lucia pulled out a rabbit from her hat. Only her father knew about this part. He'd helped her to plan this part of her show. Lucia imagined the audience cheering and clapping as she bowed to them, feeling proud that she had successfully performed her trick. Yes, that's how it would happen. It would be perfect. Lucia took a deep breath and smiled to herself with satisfaction. Her dreams were slowly becoming reality. She was only 8 years old, but she felt on top of the world. Lucia took a satisfying bow, and when the music faded, Lucia slowly opened her eyes and glanced toward the mirror. Her face felt chilly when she saw a young girl with an intense look of concentration on her face. It was herself. Lucia smiled at her reflection and stepped off the stage, feeling a sense of pride. She was ready. She took another bow for practice. "Deeper, more dramatic, Lucy!" She could hear her father's voice in her mind. He had been her coach and helper. She loved her father so much. Lucia could smell food cooking. The aromas were emanating from the kitchen downstairs. Her stomach rumbled in response, but she decided better of it. She should practice her act again. It needed to be perfect because the neighbors were coming over to see her performance in a few days. Lucia stomped back to the center of the makeshift stage and clapped her hands together and took a deep breath before yelling out, "Abracadabra!" In the mirror, just behind her reflection, a sheet-covered ghost appeared. The ghost was tall and thin, and its face and form were obscured by the sheet. Lucia gasped and tried to swallow the fear that was rising in her throat. She watched in horror as the ghost moved closer to the surface of the mirror, responding to each abracadabra that she spoke. She almost couldn't stop saying it. It was as if she were under some sort of spell. Lucia was too shocked to react. As the ghost began to move closer, Lucia backed away slowly in fear. The ghost was tall and thin, but its face was obscured by the sheet. A chill ran down her spine as she watched it glide towards her. It seemed to be responding to each abracadabra that she spoke. Could this be true? Was she seeing things? Was her childish imagination getting the best of her? She mustered up her courage and took a deep breath before yelling out, "Abracadabra!" once more. Again, the ghost moved closer, this time more confidently than before. It was almost at the surface of the mirror, in front of her reflection. Lucia gasped and felt a wave of panic begin to wash over her. She quickly tried to think of a way out of this situation. Just then, she heard a creaking noise coming from the closet to the left of her stage. Her heart raced as she slowly walked towards it, trying to keep her breathing steady. She opened the closet and saw the sheep-covered figure standing there in the darkness. With a muffled scream, she slammed the door shut and stumbled back and away. She glanced back at the mirror, surprised to see the ghost again. It was back in the mirror. Lucia wrinkled her nose. She smelled something terrible, like a dead bird. She'd seen a dead bird in the yard just yesterday. Another wave of terror trembled through her. Lucia mumbled under her breath in a trance-like state, not knowing what she was saying. "Abracadabra," she uttered softly, and a bitter chill ran up her back as if a gust of icy wind had blown directly onto her spine. Strangely, she thought, this is real magic. The third time Lucia said the magic word, the ghost was almost completely out of the mirror. Lucia felt her heart pounding in her chest as if it were trying to break free from her body. She wanted to run, scream, get away, but she was frozen with fear. Lucia feared what would happen if the ghost stepped out again. The sudden presence of smoke and the eerie atmosphere caused Lucia to take another step back. She was unsure what to do next, but didn't have much time to think. Suddenly, and without warning, smoke began to swirl around the ghostly figure in the mirror. With each passing second, the smoke grew thicker and more oppressive until she was engulfed in a stagnant cloud. Lucia felt her heart racing faster than ever before as she watched the smoke slowly overtake the figure in the mirror. After what seemed like an eternity, the wind suddenly died down, and all that remained were tiny flecks of glittering dust where the ghost once stood in the mirror. Lucia could not take her eyes off the mirror for even a second. When she finally reached the staircase, she exhaled a deep breath of relief. That experience had been one unlike any other she had ever gone through. There had been fear, shock, awe, and even a little excitement mixed in there too. After gathering her courage, Lucia took a few steps forward and inspected what remained in the mirror. She saw only her reflection looking back at her. No traces of any ghostly visitors left behind this time. Lucia stepped back, her eyes wide with terror. She opened her mouth to say one more abracadabra, but nothing happened. Nothing she could see, anyway. She was so scared that her throat had gone completely dry. Her heart raced faster than ever before as she watched the ghostly figure slowly reappear and disappear in a cloud of smoke and glittering dust. Once the smoke finally dissipated, Lucia cautiously peered back into the mirror, expecting to find something sinister looking back at her. Instead, she saw only her reflection greet her in return. Relieved, yet still shaken by what she had just experienced, Lucia backed away from the scene and headed down the stairs, still trying to make sense of what she'd seen and heard. Lucia descended the stairs, her footsteps too loud as she tried to process everything that had occurred. How could an old mirror have allowed a ghostly visitor to enter their world? Would her mother believe her? She had accused her of lying more than once. Lucia walked down the hallway cautiously, her eyes locked on the old mirror as she passed by it. She paused for a moment as a chill ran down her body when she noticed that some of the glittering dust from the ghost was still present on the glass. That's weird, the little girl thought to herself. She whimpered fearfully, but managed not to scream in terror. She felt an odd sensation of worry wash over her as she contemplated what this could mean. Did it mean that the ghost had not actually vanished, but instead was still somewhere in her home? Was it following her? Was this her fault? She'd used her abracadabra powers too forcefully. How was she supposed to know that this kind of magic was real? Just then, Lucia's mother walked into the hallway and noticed Lucia staring at the mirror. "I thought I heard you coming down. What is wrong, baby?" her mother asked, placing a reassuring hand on Lucia's shoulder. When she did not answer, Mommy continued to question her. "You look pale, baby. Are you ready to eat lunch?" Lucia nodded slowly, her eyes still fixated on the mirror. She didn't feel like eating at all, but she knew that if she kept standing there, staring at the mirror, her mother was going to get suspicious. So she decided to take a seat at the kitchen table and try to enjoy her macaroni and cheese with bacon bits while telling her mother about the ghost in the mirror. Yet she couldn't avoid it. Someone had to know what she'd seen. Her mother looked skeptical at first, but when Lucia told her how she had seen it with her own eyes and how it had disappeared in a cloud of smoke and glittering dust, she appeared to take Lucia seriously. "Are you telling a fib, Lucy?" her mother asked, looking at her daughter seriously. "I thought we talked about this. You're practically a grown girl." "No, ma'am. I swear I saw a ghost. He was wearing a sheet," Lucia replied, meeting her mother's gaze with conviction. Her mother looked at her for what seemed like an eternity before finally saying, "Well, then let's go take a look." Lucia didn't want to go back upstairs. What if the ghost was still there? But her mother wanted her to see if she was lying. Why would she lie about something like this? With her mother by her side, Lucia slowly made her way upstairs to the attic where the mirror hung. Lucia could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She dutifully followed her mother up the stairs. The lights over the stage were still burning. She'd forgotten to turn them off, despite promising that she would turn them off. "I don't see anything, Lucia. It's just an old mirror." Mommy sounded frustrated, even though they'd only been in the attic for less than a minute. "I swear, Mommy." Lucia took a deep breath before looking in the mirror. "He was there. A big man wearing a sheet. And he smelled really bad." To her relief, there was nothing there but her reflection. "Whenever I said the magic word, he appeared." "What magic word? Do you mean abracadabra?" "Yes, Mommy, that word." They stood before the mirror silently, but nothing happened. "See, Lucy, there's nothing there," her mother said with a smile. Your vivid imagination is making you see things, honey. But just as she turned to leave the bathroom, Lucia whispered the word to herself, and at that moment, caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of her eye. "Look, Mommy! He's there again!" And he was. This time, Lucia's mother saw him too. The man in the sheet was standing right behind Lucia, his breath on her shoulder. Lucia's mother tried to grab her daughter's hand and pull her away, but the man in the sheet held her tight. Lucia's mother, Amy, screamed. The man in the sheet didn't respond. "Let go of my daughter!" she shouted again, trying to free Lucia from his clutches. But the man in the sheet did not speak. His fetid breath filled the shadowy attic. Lucia didn't know what to do, but she knew that she had to try to get away from the man in the street. "Let go of my daughter!" she shouted, struggling to free Lucia from the ghostly figure's grasp. Yet the man in the sheet remained unyielding, his grip tightening around Lucia's small frame. Lucia's mother looked into the mirror, desperation etched on her face. "What do you want from us?" she demanded, her voice shaking. He did not answer. "Mommy!" Lucia screamed at the top of her lungs. To her surprise, the creepy figure released her. Without hesitation, Lucia's mother grabbed her daughter and ran downstairs as fast as her legs could carry them. As they raced down the stairs, Lucia could see the man in the sheet laughing maniacally behind them. She never looked back, and neither did her mother. Lucia and her mother ran down the stairs and through the hallway, their feet pounding against the wooden floorboards. Lucia could hear the man in the sheet still laughing maniacally behind them. She clutched her mother tightly with one hand, her fingers digging into her mother's palm. With every step, Lucia expected to feel his breath on her neck, but he was nowhere to be seen. Amy collapsed against a wall, pulling Lucia close and burying her head in her daughter's hair. "It's okay now," she murmured faintly, but neither of them could shake off their fear. Amy rose to her feet and wiped away tears from both their faces. Taking Lucia's hand in hers, she whispered, "It's going to be okay, baby. It's going to be okay." Lucia didn't know how that would be possible, but she believed her mother. Still trembling, Amy led her daughter out onto their porch. Her husband would be home soon. He would know what to do, she hoped. As the screen door slammed behind them, Amy pretended that she didn't see a strange image in the hall mirror. And she pretended that she did not hear the spirit's cackling laughter. She sat on the porch and cried. Chapter 2. Sierra. The morning air hung heavy with an unsettling chill as I sipped my coffee, the warmth barely penetrating the unease that gripped me. I glanced at the antique clock on the wall, its hands inching ever closer to the moment that would change everything. Why that thought ran through my mind, I could not say. It was almost time for my meeting with Amy. I didn't know her well, but I was eager to hear what she had to say. I looked out the window. The morning sun blanched the sky a sick yellow, like the eyes of a galloping horse. Man, my thoughts this morning. I continued to sip slow sips of coffee, its uniform bitter taste parallel to my musings. As a paranormal investigator, my occupation had always been a source of hushed gossip among the other parents at Emily's school. I never suspected that one of the parents might come to me, desperate for help with an unexpected brush with the supernatural, until it was too late. Amy burst through the doors of the Carpe Diem coffee shop, her hair a wild mess, her clothing disheveled and wrinkled. Her eyes were ablaze with terror as they darted around the bustling coffee oasis. She lunged forward towards me, her limbs trembling and her face radiating desperation. My name spilled from her quivering lips in a desperate plea for help. "Sierra, please. I'm so grateful you were able to meet me at such short notice. I've got a real problem. This isn't a joke. No problem, Amy. Tell me what's happening, I replied, keeping my tone steady to provide a sense of reassurance. I slid the chair out for her and whispered, "Have a seat." The less of a scene we made, the better. Amy leaned forward and clasped her hands tightly together. Her voice was shaking, but she kept it low and controlled. "Something is stalking my daughter," she said, her eyes wide with fear. "The last few nights, I've heard strange noises from inside the house, like someone or something is moving around upstairs. I can't tell if it's coming from Lucia's room or not, but the timing seems to coincide with her bedtimes. But it started in the attic. She saw him in the mirror. I saw him too. A ghost, Sierra. Only he was wearing a sheet. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. I swear." "It's okay, Amy. I believe you. Tell me what's happening. Be as specific as possible." She paused for a moment, her hands trembling as she tried to compose herself. "I'm afraid something is lurking in the mirrors of our home. Something sinister," she said quietly. "I want to make sure that Lucia is safe, and that whatever this thing is, it doesn't hurt her." She paused again before meeting my gaze with a pleading look in her eyes. Her eyes darted around the room before she leaned in closer, her voice barely audible. "You're going to think I'm insane, but there's a ghost in my house. It's draped in a sheet, and it's appearing in every mirror." She paused, her eyes searching mine for any sign of disbelief or judgment. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly. I had been investigating paranormal activity for years, but this sounded intriguing. Mirrors had been a source of worry for me over the past few investigations. I held her gaze, my expression calm. "I've dealt with many strange cases, Amy. Don't hold back." She recounted her encounter with the sheet-shrouded apparition, her words tumbling out like an avalanche. She described its eerie responsiveness to the word abracadabra and its chilling physical interactions with her daughter Lucia. Her voice cracked as she recalled the incident, the phantom gripping her child with sinister determination. "That sounds terrifying, Amy. Is your daughter okay?" "She's trusting me to fix this. My husband refuses to believe me. He thinks I'm making it up, or that it's just our minds playing tricks," she said, tears streaming down her face. "But I know what I saw, and I'm terrified for my family. I have nowhere else to turn." I reached across the table, my hand enveloping hers with a comforting warmth. "I believe you, Amy. I'll do everything I can to help your family. We'll start by investigating your home and learning more about this malevolent spirit. We'll do our best to uncover why it's haunting you and, most importantly, how to banish it." "Do your best? That doesn't sound good." "It would be wrong to promise you that I'm a miracle worker, Amy. But I can promise you I will... No, make that we, the Gulf Coast Paranormal team, will do our best." Her eyes glistened with gratitude as she choked back a sob. "Thank you, Sierra. I don't know what I would do without your help." As we drained our cups, I shared with her how the investigation would likely go. I formulated a plan to confront the darkness that had invaded Amy's home. I hugged her neck, and we parted ways hopefully. Exiting the coffee shop, I felt a shiver of foreboding accompanied by a steely determination. I was about to face an unearthly entity unlike any I'd encountered before. But I was ready to do whatever it took to protect Amy's family and bring them the peace they so desperately needed. The bleak sky seemed to mirror my emotions as I drove to the Gulf Coast Paranormal office, the weight of Amy's ordeal pressing down on me. I couldn't shake the feeling that this case would be unlike any other we had faced before. Still, my determination to help Amy and her family outweighed any trepidation I felt. Upon entering the office, I was greeted by the familiar scent of aged books and the quiet hum of computers. It was a place that had once provided me with a sense of solace, but now it felt charged with a purpose more urgent than ever before. I sat at my desk, its surface cluttered with files and equipment from past investigations. I picked up the phone to call Joshua, my husband and partner in this paranormal venture. As the phone rang, I clenched my free hand, willing him to answer quickly. "Hey, Sierra," he greeted me, his voice warm and comforting. "What's up?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the conversation. "Josh, we've got a new case. I just met Amy. You know, Emily's friend's mom? She's having some serious paranormal activity in her house. There's a ghost appearing in all the mirrors, and it's escalating. We need to help them." Joshua's concern was palpable, even over the phone. "That sounds intense. Are you sure we should be working with school parents, though? It might bite us in the butt." "We'll have to deal with it. I don't think we have a choice," I replied, my voice resolute. "Amy's family is in danger, and we're their only hope. We need to organize an investigation as soon as possible." "All right," he agreed, his determination matching mine. "I'll start getting everything together. Let's meet back at the house later to discuss our plan of action." With Joshua on board, I dialed Midas. His expertise and level-headedness had been invaluable in our previous cases. He was our leader, but a lot had happened in his life recently. His beloved grandfather passed away and left a load of responsibility on his shoulders. I didn't want to believe he was avoiding me, but as the phone rang, I was met with only silence. Midas didn't answer. Again. "Come on, big brother. Don't shut me out." I frowned, worried by his uncharacteristic absence from my life. As the voicemail beeped, I left a message, my voice steady despite the unease that churned within me. "Midas, it's Sierra. We have an urgent case on our hands, and I would like your input. Call me back as soon as you get this." Hanging up the phone, I hoped that Midas would return my call soon. With every passing moment, the sense of foreboding grew stronger, and I knew that we had to act quickly. Time was of the essence, and Amy's family couldn't afford to wait any longer. I pulled out my phone and quickly typed out a group text to Macie and Jericho, the remaining members of our team. Their dedication and unique skills had proved crucial in previous investigations, and I knew we needed their support now more than ever. "Urgent case tomorrow. Ghost in mirrors at Amy's house. Meet at the GCP office at 9 a.m. sharp. Bring your A-game. We're going to need it." I hit send, hoping that they would understand the gravity of the situation. With the team notified, I turned my attention to the photos Amy had sent me of the mirror in which the ghost had first appeared. As I studied the images, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something eerily familiar about the antique piece. My curiosity piqued. I began researching similar mirrors, trying to pinpoint what it was that caught my attention. Hours passed as I delved deeper into the world of antique mirrors, their history, and legends. I barely noticed the time slipping away, so engrossed was I in the mystery that lay before me. It wasn't until I stumbled upon a particular article that my heart skipped a beat, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. The mirror in Amy's home bore a striking resemblance to a historical piece known as the Spiritus Mirror. This infamous mirror was shrouded in a terrifying history, dating back centuries. According to legend, it was created by a medieval mystic who had sought to trap vengeful spirits within the glass. As the story went, those who possessed the mirror would be haunted by the tormented souls trapped inside, their lives becoming a living nightmare. The more I read, the more the sense of foreboding I'd been feeling intensified. If Amy's mirror was indeed the Spiritus Mirror, or one of its kind, we would be facing a paranormal force.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?